Hi, welcome to an obscure video. You know how sometimes when you watch a movie, you'll see something that's very outlandish, and you'll think to yourself,
man, that's impossible. That would never happen in real life.
Yeah, that exact same thing happens with us artists much more than you'd think. And you combine that with my overwhelming need to overthink literally everything, and you get this video. So yeah, today I'm gonna let you guys take a peek into my brain. I'm gonna show you some clips from my favorite movies, TV shows, and music videos that contain art scenes that have little tiny discrepancies. And today I'm going to explain to you guys why these things in an art scenario would be either most likely to never happen, completely likely to happen, or just flat out impossible to happen. And before we get into it, just because a movie is unbelievably real or has like a scenario that's not realistic, absolutely does not mean that it's bad. What I'm about to show you are just like little things that I've noticed throughout my life that have always stuck in my head. Also, to make this video possible, I had to really distort a lot of the clips, so I apologize in advance for all of the weirdness. And lastly, while I was editing, I noticed I kept saying this weird thing like only artist this, only artist that. And of course there's exceptions to everything. I should have spoken more in a generalized term. What I actually meant to say was like in a general sense of what I've experienced throughout my life. I'm sorry for speaking in absolutes. Only a Sith deals in absolutes. So yeah, with a mild spoiler alert ahead, we're gonna start this off with one of my favorite music videos of all time, Katy Perry's The One That Got Away. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I freaking love this song. The story, the color palette, the music, the scenery, everything about this music video, I absolutely love. And what I'm about to show you has bothered me for so long. If you click on this actual music video and scroll down far enough, you can see a comment from my official channel from 2 years ago talking about this exact same thing. So if you think I just made this up for this video, no, I have been pondering on this for literally years. So basically, if you didn't get that, the artist and Katy Perry are painting on two giant canvases with acrylic paint. She doesn't know what to paint, so he like forces her to like make a mark on the canvas. Of course, she gets mad at him, so in retaliation, she gets a giant bottle of acrylic red paint, throws it at his painting, and then he gets mad and storms off. Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there in like a 30-second video. So my first question is how did they get those giant canvases inside of their apartment? Because you guys know he ain't using his Mustang to be carrying these giant canvases, risk scratching his car up. No way. And in the background, it doesn't show any tools or anything of them building said canvases. So yeah, I've always wondered how they transported these giant pure wood canvases into their little apartment, you know? That's gotta be a pain in the butt or very expensive, one of the two. Secondly, if you look at the painting, she did not ruin it literally whatsoever. So what he's creating now isn't the actual painting. If you notice, it's just pure black and white and he's just sketching it out. That is called the underpainting. You know how artists sometimes, like whenever we draw something with markers, first we'll start out with a sketch. It's kind of that exact same thing except with painting. So yeah, at this stage in his painting, it's basically like the preparation stage, if that makes sense. Secondly, it's very watery acrylic paint. Reason I know it's acrylic is because it shows the literal bottle of acrylic paint. And acrylic paint is water-based, so all you have to do is get a wet towel, wipe it off, bada bing, bada boom, your painting is saved. And even if he didn't want to risk wiping off any of his underpainting, what he could do is just wait for the red paint to dry and then paint white over it, and that's another way to fix it. The only thing that I could see that would be just like so annoying is the fact that she put all the splatter right on the eyeball of the underpainting. Once he wipes away the eye, he's gonna have to redraw that eye all over again. But I feel like most artists, we would immediately try to blot it all away before that happens, before it starts dripping down everywhere. Something that I personally think as an artist that would have made this whole entire scene like that much more realistic is if he had like a whole entire oil painting that was like already finished in full color, it was not yet dry, and then boom, she splatters the forbidden acrylic paint all over this like giant masterpiece. And when he does go to wipe off the oil paint, it's gonna smear all the paint underneath because oil paint takes a very, very long time to dry. So in that scenario, if somebody ruined my wet oil painting that was that big and that grand and that realistic,
I would be fucking livid.
But of course, I'm overanalyzing everything, and you know, the real music video is actually a really beautiful story about lovers. So I'm gonna have to rate the believability a 6. Alright, for this next movie, it's by far the most realistic out of everything that I'm going to show you today. When I watched this, like later as an artist, because I've watched this movie many times when I was younger, but when I watched it as an adult artist, I was blown away by how accurate James Cameron made this movie. And that, of course, is the most famous drawing scene in probably the whole entire world, Titanic. Draw me like one of your French girls. Let me pull it up really quick on YouTube because you guys are not gonna believe how accurate this scene is. Like, I am shooketh.
How are you? This is the sitting room.
Monet.
Do you know his work?
Of course. Look at his use of color here. Isn't he great?
I know, it's extraordinary.
Okay, first of all, young Leo. Look at that jawline, the hair, the eyes. Oh my god. He's gonna hit him with the smoke. Hit him with the smoke. Oh! Ah! Literally, oh my god. How is he so perfect? So the first thing that Jack does is he walks into this really nice room and he notices 2 paintings by the world's literal most famous painters of all time. Water Lilies by Monet, as well as the Mademoiselles of Avignon, as well as the Mademoiselles of Avignon. I'm sorry to all my French people. I please don't unsubscribe. I'm trying my best. But anyway, in true artist nature, immediately he books it over to those paintings. And the first thing that he does is immediately start studying the techniques of the painters, which is such an artist thing to do. Like, us artists, we don't just look at the artwork. We have to like go and observe every single inch of the painting or drawing or whatever it is to like understand the techniques that went into the drawing. And that's exactly what Jack does in this video. But not just that, but like all artists knows that it's like a respect thing and also a huge no-no not to touch somebody else's painting because you don't want to get your oils on the painting to destroy it. And so, in true artist nature, Jack puts his finger ever so slightly above the painting just to study it without touching it. That is like some super obscure thing that only artists would know. So I'm really impressed that James Cameron put that detail, whether it was accidental or not, into that scene because it's so accurate, you know? And not just that, but I was also very impressed with the tools that he used to create the drawing. He has charcoal pencils, regular pencils, graphite, he has dip pens, and of course a knife that he had to hand sharpen the pencil, which was very accurate to the time. The only thing that's not giving this a perfect score is the fact that both Monet's drawing as well as Picasso's drawing, they never were on the Titanic. They're currently on display at the Museum of Modern Art. So yeah, I'm gonna rate the believability a 9 out of 10 for this scene. Okay, for this next one, it required an outfit change. Mainly because my microphone died and it was 20 minutes of this. So before I show you this clip, there is a little context that you need to understand. I'm sure a lot of you guys know that in the artist world, it's like the cardinal sin to make a painting in oil paint and then put acrylic paint on top of that. Reason for that is because over time, the oil paint will release gases, and if there's plastic over it, aka acrylic paint, the gases that are releasing will crack through and flake off your acrylic paint, thus ruining your painting and not making it archival.
To that. Yeah, so were the people down the street.
I have watched this movie so many times that I have come to the conclusion that our main star, Mallory, is painting over her oil painting with acrylic paint. Let me present my case. If you look close enough, you can get a very light glimpse of her dipping into a water-based palette. And generally speaking, oil palettes usually look a little bit different. Because it's so thick, you mix on a glass surface, and paint thinner that's usually closed up and off to the side. Trust me, you don't generally want to be breathing in all the fumes of paint thinner, especially if you're pregnant like Mallory. And plus we got a really nice close-up of the paint, and you can just tell that it's acrylic with how fluid and shiny it is. And the reason that I think the main painting is oil painting is because how rich, well blended, and smooth all the portraits are, which is a characteristic that you see a lot with traditional oil portraiture. And we know that she oil paints because if you look in the background, you can see some linseed oil, you can see some tubes of oil paint. And the last reason as to why I think she's putting acrylic over oil is when you see that zoomed out angle, you can see the two finishes on the canvas. You can see the completely matte oil section and the shiny acrylic section. So yeah, every single time I watch that movie, they're literally going through the apocalypse trying to like survive. Every single time, I'm just sitting there like, oh God, I hope her painting's okay. It's been 5 years, it's surely ruined by now. What about her other artwork? The artwork is just absolutely beautiful, and that's why I worry so much about it, is because I'm like, how? It just, yeah. So as far as believability, what are the odds that a very talented painter wouldn't know to put acrylic over oil? I would say probably about a 3 out of 10. Okay, so for this next movie that we're gonna go over, it's by far one of the most cheesiest movies ever made, but I eat that shit up. Like, I love this movie so much. And this, of course, is one of my personal favorites, National Treasure, starring Nicolas Cage. So basically, in this movie, Nicolas Cage, I think his name is Ben, steals the Declaration of Independence. And the reason he's stealing the Declaration of Independence is because he thinks there's a secret message behind it. So let me just show you.
Lemons.
You need heat.
We need more juice.
I need more heat.
That like gets me every single time. That's like my favorite part of the whole entire movie is when Nick Cage does that. I love it. Basically, there's an invisible ink on the back of the Declaration of Independence. And so to make that invisible ink appear, they get lemons and put lemons and heat together to make the invisible ink appear. But that is actually not really possible. With lemons, a really cool trick that you can do is actually use lemon juice as an invisible ink. So basically, you get lemon juice, you dab it on a piece of paper, let it dry, and when you apply heat to the lemon, it basically oxidizes and turns brown, thus revealing the invisible ink as not invisible anymore. So, hypothetically speaking, if Nicolas Cage was to have put lemon juice all over the back of the Declaration of Independence and then apply heat to it, he literally would have just turned the whole entire thing brown, thus completely covering up the message they were trying to uncover. So yeah, I do realize that's not necessarily an art thing, but it has always been on the back of my mind. So as much as I love this movie, I'm gonna have to rate the believability a 0. Alright, now for this last episode, it comes from one of the most legendary shows of all time, and that of course is SpongeBob, the Holy Grail. I'm pretty sure a mass majority of you guys have all seen this episode. This comes from an episode called Artist Unknown in season 2.
Am I going too fast for you, SpongeBob? How's it, Squidward? What the? How the? A perfect circle? Do it again. Show your process.
Well, first I draw this head, then I erased some of the more detailed features, and 1, 2, 3, a circle thingy.
Literally, yes. Oh my god. And it's actually really funny because when you do learn like the fundamentals of drawing a face, it's kind of funny because this process that SpongeBob showed, it's literally that except backwards. And because that is literally the exact way that artists generally draw faces, I'm gonna have to give that a 10,000 out of 10. There were so many movies that I had to cut out of this just because of time. So if you guys want to see a part 2 to this, please let me know. If you haven't subscribed yet, I highly recommend that you subscribe with notifications. That's one of the only ways that you'll get actually notified of my video, so it's very important that you guys hit the notification bell. And yeah, I'll leave my socials, my TikTok, second channel, all that good stuff down below. And yeah, with that being said, guys, thank you so much again for watching, and I will see you next video. Bye!